Alright, in this video I'm going to talk to you about how to get a job in a recession. So I'm saying that in a recession because right now in 2020, the markets aren't doing so hot. The hiring market is getting more and more difficult, and it's beginning to look more and more like a recession. So more and more people are losing their jobs. So you might be asking yourself, if I do lose my job, or if I already have lost my job, how am I going to get a job in these troubling times of less people having jobs? So this is going to be the hardest time if you're just starting out in your career to find a job. So if you just got let go from a company, or you're starting out in the career fresh, this is probably going to be the hardest time in your entire life for finding a job. So this is because not many companies are going to want to hire you when the company itself is making less money than normal. And people are making less money than normal because people have less money because they're not working. It's kind of like a reoccurring, a loop. It goes in a loop. You don't work, so you don't spend money. And because you don't spend money, the company doesn't get money either. Also, people and companies do not want to hire new people to the field. This might seem like an obvious thing because it's a risk to the company. Because if the person doesn't know how to do their job, or if they're a bad fit for the company, then they're going to waste money, and it's going to waste the company's resources. And since they have less experience, the new person is going to have less experience on the job, they're also going to have to do their work slower. And why would you hire someone to do their work slower? If you can hire someone who's more experienced, they get it done faster. There's deadlines to meet. And the new person has to waste a lot of time learning how to do these kind of tasks that people want to do at the company. So the new people might even make major mistakes down the line, like, oh, I wrote this piece of code wrong, and now the whole database is deleted or something. And that costs a lot of money down the line as well, because then someone else who has more experience, who will have to be paid more because they're more experienced, will have to go and fix this newbie's job. So nobody wants to do that. So that's why companies don't like hiring these new people. So how do you get around this, you might ask? Well, you have to market yourself as someone who has more years of experience, more experience on the job. You don't want to market yourself as like an entry level. You don't want to market yourself as someone looking for an internship. You want to market yourself who has done many of these things before and consequently can do it on the job perfectly fine. And you want to do this even if you have no experience at all. And that's where it becomes a little bit of a difficulty, because you don't want to necessarily lie. You just want to enhance the truth to make it look better. Although lying wouldn't be I don't think there's going to be many people that are going to check, oh, he only has 3 years experience instead of 5. They're not going to check that kind of thing. They'll know if you know it or not based on the interview. So you want to market yourself who has a lot of experience, because the first person that loses their job during a recession is the person not at the top, because they're making bank. The CEO is making bank, so is all the managers under him, so is all the VPs, and everyone who's been there for a long time is not going to get let go first. It's going to be at the person at the bottom who has very little experience, who doesn't add much to the company in terms of value. So they're going to let them go to cut the costs. Consequently, the number of people with little experience is always going to be the highest who are applying to jobs during a recession, because they're always going to be the one that's let go. And this is, once again, because the person who has little experience will get the job done less, or in less time, or with less quality than the person who has more experience. So you might say, how do I get the job done fast? Well, you have to market yourself to someone who will get it done fast and who will get it done properly and very well, better than even someone who has more years of experience. And then, so you'll have to find a way to do that for whatever job you're applying for. So for example, many companies are going to use automation. If they have a huge number of applicants, if they have hundreds or thousands of applicants, they're going to use automation to detect keywords in their resume to see if they're going to be a good fit for the job. For example, if you're trying to be a software engineer, they'll check, oh, do you know C++? Do you know Java? Well, you're going to have Java written down like at least once on your resume. But if you're really good at Java, then you're going to have Java written down like twice, 3 times, 5 times, because you're going to have it down like once in the language, like another time, like in a project, maybe you're going to say, oh, I did this for Java, and then maybe you have another project, and then you might like have tutored someone in Java or something. You're going to have Java down like 5 times, and that's how you know they're going to know, oh, wait, I got to look at this person's resume. They have Java here 15 times. How do they have 15 times on their own resume? And then they're going to be interested. So that's one little tip here. A recruiter told me that they use this automation. So make sure you try to put a lot of keywords in your resume. So oftentimes, if your resume doesn't even have these keywords, you won't even be considered for someone to read your resume in person. Like, no one's going to read it. So it's just going into their database of resumes, and then you won't get the job. It'll just be white noise. But this is, of course, don't say like, you know Java when you don't actually know Java. So don't put it on there 15 times if you don't know it. You have to know at least a little bit about it, at least to answer some questions about it. This doesn't have to be about Java. This could be about anything. So another tip to get a job in trying times like a recession is to care less about the type of job you get and the amount of money you get. And because of this, you might have to take any job that you can find. So maybe not like a fast food job or like a part-time job, but like any job that you can find that is at least somewhat related to your field. So, because it's always going to be it's always going to be easier to hire someone who has a job and who just wants to go to a different job than someone who has a job, who doesn't have a job anymore. And like, there's a 6-month period. There's going to be a lot of question marks like, why can't this guy find a job? It's been 6 months, and they will not want to hire that person, even if this guy is the best in the field. So I like to use like an analogy with this. So girls are attracted to guys who are already in relationships most of the time, and this is because this shows. I mean, it's also the opposite, that guys can be attracted to girls that are in relationships as well, and it shows that the person in a relationship has on-the-job experience. They can know how to get the job done. They know how to have a relationship. So that's proof, social proof that they can get the job done right. And this is the same thing with employers. They want proof that you can get the job done in an efficient amount of time and that you're not a crazy maniac. Because if you're in a relationship or if you have a job, then you're most likely not a crazy maniac. Or if you are, you're very good at it, at hiding it. So another idea for finding a job in a recession is to work in freelance. So I mentioned freelance because most of the time during recessions, the companies will let go of their full-time employees, their employees that work there like at a salaried pace, for people who will get paid by the hour. And this is all for money reasons. There's nothing personal against the people that let go, even though they might have been working there for years. It's because the people who are salaried usually cost a lot of money because it's a reoccurring cost. You have to pay this guy every year, no matter what. Even if they I guess if they don't get the job done right, they're going to get fired anyway. So, but they might be less motivated because they know they're going to get paid no matter what. However, if you are working hourly, you're going to be motivated because you know that each hour you work, you're going to get paid for that work. So you're motivated to do the job. Well, I guess you are technically paid for each hour you work if you're on a salary. It's just, it doesn't feel like it to most people. So this is why companies will hire contractors in the place of the people that they just let go, because the job still needs to be done. But for the same price or even less, like they'll pay this person less to do the same job. They might even pay the person the same amount as the old person, but like they might have additional requirements that, oh, you have to do this job and this job and this job and that job. So they'll have more requirements for this new person to have the same amount of payment. And this is how they negotiate people have less salary. Because people always complain about like, oh, I only get like a 2% raise in salary each year. Well, what if the company wants to pay people less? Well, that's how they're going to have to let people go and then hire a new person instead. That will have slightly less salary than the old person. And no one knows except for the managers. And this is a greedy practice, but you have to think of it from a company's point of view. How is the company going to make money back or recoup some of the losses from their lost stock and their less income because less people are buying things, and that's from paying their employees less. It makes sense, but the money has to come from somewhere. So at the end of the day, once you do get a job and you somehow get a job miraculously during a recession, well, not merely miraculously, you tried, you worked for it, and that's really all that you have to do. You have to work hard to get a job in a recession. It might sound cheesy, but once you do get the job, you can't really stop working hard. You have to work as hard as you were to try to find that job, if not harder, to keep it. So that once another round of recession comes and people start getting let go again, you're going to become valuable, and valuable to the company and to yourself, of course. And you're going to be safe from the recession and the let go. But that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, subscribe and like the video. I'll talk to you later. Peace.